On the program to talk more is Republican Representative Mike Flood from Nebraska. Congressman Flood, thanks for joining us once again.
Thanks for having me.
We're going to go ahead and take a listen to some Democrats absolutely blasting Schumer for helping Republicans avert a shutdown. Listen.
Have you lost confidence in him, the fact that you guys see this so differently?
Next question.
Is it time for new leadership in the Senate?
Next question.
Ooh, not saying anything, but what does that say? What do you think of Schumer helping the GOP?
Listen, he did the right thing. When I was in the House in the 118th Congress and the Senate Democrats controlled the Senate, I voted every time to keep the government open. Main Street America doesn't understand when their government isn't funded and our troops aren't being paid, our air traffic controllers aren't being paid, people are working and they're not being paid. It just doesn't make any sense. And so I think that Senator Schumer did the right thing. He did the same thing that many of us in Congress have done every single time this issue presents itself to us. This really just makes the case that we need a balanced budget. We need to regular order. Our Appropriations Committee needs to work. We need to go through that process and pass a budget so that we aren't doing these fire drills every couple of months.
And what does that say about the Democrats who did not vote to keep the government open?
Well, I can tell you this. I've never not voted for a CR. I've never ever voted no to fund the government. And anytime you do that, regardless of your party, I think you're sending a message to every American in the country that politics comes before taking care of the nation's business. People don't understand it when their government's not funded.
Right. Well, let's move on to this. Presidents typically keep the Justice Department at arm's length, don't they, to avoid politicizing the most powerful law enforcement agency in the nation. What do you think of Trump's rare visit to the DOJ?
Well, let's remember what he talked the most about yesterday. He talked about fentanyl, that being a crisis in our country. It's now the leading cause of death among 18 to 45-year-olds in the U.S. It's seen a rise here in Nebraska. We've seen the most overdoses since the 1990s. Most of what he talked about yesterday was the fentanyl crisis. And I'm confident that the cabinet level officials that have been confirmed by the Senate to carry out their constitutional duties will do their job. Attorney General Pam Bondi, Kash Patel. Listen, they earn the confidence of the Senate after being vetted through a confirmation process. So we have the right people in place, and I am excited to see the focus on drug dealers, fentanyl, illegal immigrants.
All right. Well, how exactly will President Trump restore faith in our justice system? Because you know the left is having a heyday with this visit from yesterday at the Justice Department and saying that it's more proof that he's trying to act as an authoritarian.
Didn't he say yesterday that it was going to be fair and impartial application of the law under the constitutional rule of law? That's what Americans expect, and that's what Americans will get. You know what? It should be no surprise that he's taken an interest in the Department of Justice. He campaigned on this issue for the better part of 2 years, and this is after a troubling 4 years under the weaponization of the FBI by the Biden administration. They were spying on Catholic Americans. That was unveiled by the House Judiciary Committee. They were flagging parents concerned about their children's education, targeting pro-life activists. But I want to be very clear. Mm-hmm. FBI agents across the nation deserve our respect. They are in these field offices. They are fighting crime every single day. I think what President Trump is doing is he wants to focus on crime. He wants to focus on illegal immigrants and fentanyl, and that's what he's doing yesterday at the Justice Department.
He's moving so quickly, too. But our producers have pulled together some data that I want you to take a look at. And correlation, of course, does not always mean causation, but Trump's approval rating has been dipping along with the S&P 500. Look at this. Trump promised a stronger economy, as we all know, and said we would have lower costs of living and lower grocery prices. So what do you say to Americans struggling to pay for these rising costs of goods, worried about the tariffs, worried about the stock market today?
Well, I think at the end of the day, you got to remember under President Biden, we had 4 years of trade deficits, and he basically was hands off on all things trade. President Trump wants to make sure America gets a fair deal, and that's what he's doing. And there's going to be, as he said in his State of the Union, there's going to be an adjustment period. And we are seeing some of that right now. I have every reason to believe that we're going to come out of this stronger. And why do I say that? Look at the first Trump administration. We went through some of these same challenges, and we came out stronger. In fact, so strong that President Biden didn't lay a finger on any of President Trump's trade policies because they were working for the country. This is an adjustment because the former president failed to engage over the last 4 years. And so there's going to be this period of adjustment. I have confidence that our Treasury Secretary, working with the Commerce Department, working with the White House and our monetary policy folks, we're going to get this sorted out, and it is going to be better for the American people when it ends.
Yeah, and Trump knows his way around Washington, D.C. a lot better this time around. He had 4 years to think about it after his first term. And now he knows all the buttons to push and levers to pull. Republican Nebraska Congressman Mike Flood, appreciate you being here. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, come back. Well,